and others. Okay. Good evening. Let's get started. I think I know everyone on screen. If you don't know me, I'm Bob Ryan. I'm Director of Public Services for the City of College Park. And so I'll be leading us off tonight. We have a special presentation later on from Detective Flax, who works the auto theft assignment on a team, and he'll explain the WAVE team in the National Capital Region. And we're going to start off with crime statistics and maps with Major Coletti. And so we'll go through some maps, and these get posted on our city webpage. And I believe these are for last month, and I believe they're already posted on the webpage. So, you know, you're welcome. If you don't have to take notes tonight, you can always look at them at your leisure later on. So without further delay, I'll introduce Major Coletti, who's the Division I commander out of Hyattsville, and also our contract police commander for City of College Park. Major.
Thanks, Bob. Hey, good evening, everyone. And what I'll start off with our daily crime reports for the month of January. And I believe Sharon will throw up the first map, I believe. All right, thank you, Sharon. If you go to page 2. All right, so as you can see, during the month of January in the city of College Park, we had 1 commercial burglary. We had 2 residential burglaries. The residentials were at 9122 Baltimore Avenue, which is an apartment building in which the victim left his front door unlocked. The second burglary was at 9137 Baltimore Avenue, another apartment building, or I'm sorry, it's a Red Roof Inn. Suspects kicked in the door, and we believe we have suspects information regarding that crime. We had 2 assaults reported in the city. We had 15 theft from autos. We have 12 other thefts that could be ranging from shoplifting to somebody stole someone's bicycle. And we had 7 auto thefts for the month of January. And if I could, I'll go back to December real quick. In December, we didn't have any commercial burglaries. We had 7 residential burglaries, so we only had 2 for January, so we're down. We had a report of 4 assaults in December, 27 theft from autos, 12 other thefts, and 11 theft from autos. So looking at crime as a whole, our numbers have been reduced for the month of January. We'll skip over to page number 3. And if you just take a look at the map, you can see where the 2 locations where we had assaults reported in the city. I don't have additional information regarding the assaults. Sharon, if you may, page number 4. It's a map looking at the commercial and residential burglaries. Just gives you the locations. If you can tell, the green is the residential burglaries. Skip over to page 5, please. Just highlighting the locations for theft from autos and other thefts in the city for January. As you can tell, a lot of the other thefts are along the Baltimore Avenue corridor. A lot of theft from autos in the Hollywood area. We'll skip over to page 6. Locations of our stolen autos that were reported in the city. As you can tell, a good portion of them occurs off the Baltimore corridor, Baltimore Avenue corridor. I guess we go to page 7, please. We had a report of 20 noise complaints in the city. Highlighted on the map are just the locations. So you can tell that they're pretty much spread out throughout the city itself. We jump over to page number 8. We had just a location that we had 92 reports of quality of life issues throughout the city. So those are usually calls for disorderly conduct, bordering, any drug complaints. So those are the locations that we receive calls regarding those type of incidents. Sharon, you jump over to page number 9, please. I think this really shows what the police officers are doing in the city. If you look, the green are field ops where officers are making contact with citizens. Some of them probably suspicious. The blue indicates where we're making our traffic stops. As you can tell, it's a very good, a lot of traffic stops. We made 103 stops for the month of January, and we made 16 field contacts. So it definitely shows that the officers are in the communities. You can tell it's spread out throughout the community, throughout the city. So a lot of contacts are being made. You can go to page 12, Sharon. And I think just basically a monthly comparison of all the different crimes through the city. And I think that's it. Is that it, Sharon? Just an overview of all the crimes that we just talked about. Take a look at it and see it. You can, if there's any other slides, you can go to them, Sharon, go through them. Just the definitions for the mapping, if anybody's unfamiliar with it.
No murders, though.
No murders.
Thank God.
All right, Sharon, you can go to the next page.
That's the end.
Okay. So before I just talk about some of the work that's being done in this city, reference some of the complaints that we received. I'll tell you what, let me go through that first, and then I'll open it up for some discussion. We received a complaint in the last week reference to some traffic enforcement issues on Lakeland Road. We've been out there in 2 separate days, and we haven't observed any violations when it's coming down to traffic enforcement. Over the last month, or probably even longer than that, probably for the last couple of years, we have received a lot of complaints regarding individuals changing tags on their vehicles, basically running a car dealership out of their house on in the 5000 block of Laguna Road. I believe I gave this information out last month, or maybe I did not. It occurred, I think, on January 16th or January 15th. Anyway, we impounded 3 vehicles that had bad tags on them. When I mean bad tags, they were fraudulent tags. Somebody made the tags up and put them on their vehicle. So we did impound 3 vehicles. I think it was January 16th was the date. So I think Councilman Fazul, I believe you received this information already. A couple of them were bearing fake taxes, temporary tax. So we did impound 3 separate vehicles regarding that. We also had a complaint of a citizen concerned about people running the stop sign of Berwyn Road at Potomac Avenue over in Berwyn. So we were out there on 2 separate days this month, on February 11th and February 12th. On the 11th, we stopped an individual driving a Mercedes with loud exhaust with temporary registration plates on it. He was intentionally revving his engine. The officer stopped him. He discovered that the tags were fraud. They didn't belong on the vehicle. So this individual received 2 must appear jailable citations along with 8 payable citations. So he received a total of 10 citations and $760 worth of fines. So that was a good traffic stop. A lot of complaints about loud exhaust. On the 12th, February 12th, in the same area, Potomac and Berwyn Road, we stopped a Honda Accord with temporary Texas registration. That registration came back to a Honda Pilot, not to a Honda Accord. That driver received 12 Maryland citations totaling $1,410. And he also received 1 citation in which he must appear in court for. And I believe we actually impounded that vehicle. And I think that's all the work we've been doing. A lot of these complaints we received directly from members of the council or through the city, through Bob Ryan, regarding whether it's speed violations or people switching out tags. So we do investigate all of them. Sometimes we get lucky, like we did in February, a couple of these incidents. And so I just want to make sure everybody understands that we are out there in the community investigating the complaints as we receive them. So basically, that's all I have for now. I'll open up for some general crime questions for the city before I turn it over to the detective to talk about stolen autos. So does anybody have any questions for me?
I recently, just about a month ago, called the PG County Police in regards to a vehicle that was parked on our church's parking lot for weeks and had expired 5-year-old tags, and the PG County Police couldn't do anything about it because it was on a private property parking lot. So I had to call Ray's Towing and finally get the vehicle removed. It seems like even on Sunnyside here in Beltsville, that had been happening for a while. Cars being abandoned on the parking lot, but it's private property.
So I don't know if that's the one that Councilman Vazul sent us, because he did send me something about a vehicle parked in a church parking lot, and we actually impounded that vehicle ourselves. So
Yeah.
I believe that might be the same incident, but the police department impounded that vehicle because that vehicle did turn out to be stolen.
Major, that was in, I think there's a church on Cherokee Street, the Barwin Baptist Church.
Yes, that's true. Cherokee Street. Yes.
That's my point. It's a prevalent pattern that we're witnessing. Yeah.
Well, I think that's not just unique to this area. It's probably in the DC metropolitan area. We have a lot of vehicles that get stolen. I'm not just talking about Prince George's County. I'm talking about in Washington, DC and other counties, and they will drop these vehicles off at different parking lots. So I think one thing we always do is if the vehicle is stolen, we will impound the vehicle. The police department will impound that vehicle. If it's not stolen, we will not impound that vehicle.
I see.
Because it's on private property.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Hi, Tom. You also had a question about some incident that you noticed 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right. 4th Saturday night, 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm driving home down Rhode Island from Beltsville to College Park. I live in College Park, and the street was blocked off by a whole bunch of police cars. And when I approached, I tried to go around and ended up still at I forget the street that is just north of the Beltway on Rhode Island. Anyways, I got to talk to one of the officers, and he said it's all blocked off for a crime scene. And stupid me I didn't ask what was the crime that was committed that required such a for enforcement of police. But I'm curious, because it's only a couple blocks from our home, what serious crime was committed at 2 a.m. on February 4th. Actually, it would be February 5th, I guess, Sunday morning.
I couldn't even tell you. I read every daily report. I don't recall reading a violent or a serious crime on February 5th, but I could look into it. You said it was February 5th, about what time in the morning?
It was 2 a.m. Saturday night. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is February 5th, Sunday morning, about 2 a.m. when I'm driving home. I work
At
late.
Rhode Island Avenue and where?
Actually, just south of the city line, Paducah, I believe is the street, just south of there on Rhode Island. But it covered the whole underpass of the Beltway.
So
on
was
Rhode
the
Island.
incident in the city of College Park, or was the incident in Beltsville?
It was totally in the city of College Park, north of Edgewood, south of Paducah on Rhode Island.
All right, I will attempt to see what that was.
Okay.
You got to understand, we block roads for accidents. We block roads for electrical lines that are down.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
the officer told me it was a crime scene. So that's
Yeah.
what alerted me and worried me, to be honest.
Well, to be honest with you, an officer could say crime scene, it could be an accident. An accident is a crime scene.
Oh, okay. All right.
A lot
I
of
see.
officers, I hate to say it, a lot of officers use terminology they shouldn't use. So they could say it's a crime scene, and it could be, somebody struck the telephone pole and the wires are down. I don't recall any violent or serious crime on February 5th. I try to look at, I do look at them every day, but I would
Okay.
have to go back and take a look at it. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any other questions? So, Tom,
Yes,
hey, Tom, I just want to make sure, February 5th, it occurred on Saturday morning or Sunday morning,
It was Sunday morning, but I'm
but
reporting.
Saturday night.
That's what I called it, Saturday night, because it's still nighttime
Sure.
for me before I go to bed.
Okay. I'll take a look at it, and I'll get back to Bob Ryan, and I'll have him send it out to somebody if I do locate anything.
You can send to me.
So-
I know how to contact Tom.
So, Tom, it didn't really occur on February 5th. It occurred on February 6th then. February 6th is the Sunday. So if you're
Yeah,
saying that did it happen Sunday morning or Saturday morning?
It was Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Okay, so it would be on the 6th.
Thank you.
February
I
6th was a
should have
Sunday.
I should have a calendar in front of me before I start talking.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We're good. I'll take a look at it for February 6th around 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it was over half a dozen police, in suits and also cars. There were 4 or 5 police cars with all the lights going. I didn't see any accident vehicles involved whatsoever.
Sure. We'll take a look at it.
On the street as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else?
yes, this is Councilmember Susan Whitney from District 2. I had a question. Of the 92 quality of life reports across the city in January, do you have any sense of like what percentage of that was loud exhaust and modified cars? Because we're hearing a lot about that from council.
I couldn't even tell you.
Okay,
I mean, I don't track those per se. Those are generated by how the crime analysis puts them in.
okay,
I can probably tell you, I would probably believe that a lot of people don't call for modified exhaust. And to be honest with you, since we're having this discussion, when somebody does call about modified exhaust, by the time the officer gets to that area, that car is gone. I mean, if you think about it, cars are traveling, the officers are traveling, and most likely they're going to be gone. So unfortunately, I can't tell you how many were modified exhausts.
Okay. And I know during the last meeting, it was suggested that if someone lived next door to a person who had a loud exhaust and was commonly revving their cars, they left the house, that they should report that to the police. I don't know. I just would love to hear any advice that you have, of something we can do as a community to cut down on this, because it is one of the biggest complaints we hear as council members.
So Susan, I don't know if it was on my side or your side. You froze up.
Oh,
and
no.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. I was just wondering if you had any ideas for anything we can do as a community to address this issue, since it is a source of a lot of complaints that we get as a council. Do you have any advice for residents or the council of how we could address this problem?
Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe somebody may have better information, I just don't recall. I believe there is a bill that's in the General Assembly being considered to increase the fines regarding loud exhausts. You have to understand, the fines are set by the state of Maryland. All citation is a violation of state law. It's the traffic laws. So anyway, I would say for the members of the elected officials of City College Park, make it well known that you support increasing the punishment for loud exhaust. There's nothing that anybody can really do. The officers have to go out and write citations. But I always say the consequences have to meet the violation itself. So if a lot of people are upset about it and the violation has a stiffer penalty, maybe that in itself would be a great deterrent to tell other people not to do it. So I think that'd be the good starting point, is for the city to support the new bill. I believe is in the General Assembly.
Okay, thank you.
I see Mary has her hand out, but just to follow up on that, Susan, remember we actually supported that bill, HB 102. Is Delegate Mary Lehman's bill from our city council, and it is still being considered at the committee, at the House committee. It hasn't gone for the final vote yet, but that is about something about the gathering of the people or the other drivers who speed up. But there is a separate bill that is coming before the delegation in the House, State House, about the exhaust system, modified exhaust system. So Delegate Lehman is still working on that.
Okay, because I knew we had supported the racing bill, but I don't recall having read about the exhaust bill.
Yeah, she's working on it.
Gotcha.
Draft is about to be sent, I believe, to the committee.
Okay, wonderful.
And then we'll have an opportunity to support it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
So
Thank you,
Susan,
Dr. Kabir.
if you look at our weekly reports, I report just on what the contract officers do, on the citations they write regarding modified exhaust. So you can look at the numbers and they stand for themselves. Whether we issue warnings, equipment repair orders, or Maryland state citations, sometimes it's a combination of things. And to be honest with you, a lot of times when we do stop a vehicle for modified exhaust, we find other violations, whether the driver is suspended, whether the tags don't belong on the car. I think we're seeing a lot across the DC, Washington suburbs, the DMV. We're seeing a lot of issues regarding individuals switching plates, putting bad plates on their vehicles, not having a valid license, not having a valid registration plates on their vehicle. All this started because during COVID. So anyway, we see it. When we do see it, we do write people citations regarding it. So it's something that we do look at, and we do write a lot of citations, make a lot of traffic stops regarding those violations. But if you look back on the weekly, my whole point is it will show you each week what we're doing. Some weeks we don't have any, other weeks we have a lot.
Okay, thank
Any other-
you.
You're welcome. Any other
Wanted
questions?
I wanted to comment that the town of Berwyn Heights has recently started posting signage concerning this particular issue in several places throughout Berwyn Heights. I'm sure they've always been almost a cut-through community because of people coming off Kenilworth Avenue and trying to get over to Laurel. And so they probably have a lot of drivers just cutting through their community as opposed to living there. But they are now posting signage about this exhaust modification and the penalties.
Yeah,
I think that's something that the council could take up. But
exactly.
if I'm going to be realistic here, signage only works for the person who obeys the laws. That's me and you. So you can put up all the signage you want. And these individuals are going to continue to have modified exhaust and all these other issues. So just something to think about.
Yeah, Councilmember Esther Browns, she also shared those signs with us, and we shared that with our staff. Some people are not very big fan of signs because there's the term they want to use called sign pollution on Rhode Island Avenue. We have too many signs. Some of them don't like them. So we have to be a little careful exactly where do you want to put them. But we have shared that, and most likely we'll start putting them somewhere on some strategic locations. So that probably needs some council discussion. Thank you for bringing this up, by the way, Mary.
So before I leave, I just thought of two things. We did have 2 first-degree assaults. Those are felonies. We had one between 2 roommates on St. Andrew's Place. The suspect in that case turned himself in. He was charged with a felony first-degree assault, and he's being held in Upper Marlboro at the county jail with no bond. We had a second first-degree assault that occurred over in Milestone Way, over there by the IKEA. That was regarding a domestic situation with the ex-girlfriend. She assaulted the current girlfriend. We did apply for a warrant and received a warrant for her arrest for first-degree assault. And I believe as of a couple of days ago, we have not picked her up yet, but I'm sure we're going to pick her up here in the next few days. So those 2 cases they have been closed with an arrest. So unless there's any other questions, I'd like to turn it over to, well, first of all, I want to ask Corporal Lobbin, does he have anything for the group? And if not, I'll turn it over to.
Okay. I have a question before you get moving. I kind of noticed that there's one of those signs that you can, customize at the intersection of US 1 and Cherry Hill. It's kind of high up. So I said, I don't know what the heck it is. I can't stop. I'm making a right-hand turn from US 1 onto Cherry Hill. I don't know what the sign is, and what the purpose is of putting the sign up there where I don't know who's even looking at it other than maybe, just maybe, people coming north on US 1, because you can't really see it as you're going south. You can't see it if you're turning onto Cherry Hill like I was the other day.
Well, that's a crime prevention sign based on all the crimes that we were having in that part of the city. I put it there. I'm getting ready to take it out anyway and put it in another location in my district. Yes, you can see it very clearly if you're going northbound Route 1, making a left turn onto Cherry Hill Road. Unfortunately, I can't put it anywhere else. So the traffic coming in off of southbound Route 1, when they make their right turn onto Cherry Hill Road, would be able to see it. I'm not going to put the sign on the sidewalk and block pedestrian access. That was the most safest place for us to put it. It's a crime prevention VMS board, and I'm going to move it out there probably the next couple of days anyway. But unfortunately, a lot of times we got to put these signs where it's safe to do so, and that was the safest place for us to put it. So I appreciate you actually seeing it. I'm glad that you did see it. Anybody else real quick? All right, Corporal, anything for the good of the order?
No, you pretty much covered everything, Mage. Is there any questions for me? I'm Corporal Oben, by the way, if anyone didn't know who I am. I'm the Northern College Park Community Relation Officer.
All right, so no questions for Corporal Logan. We'll turn to Detective Flax. And I guess he's going to sit here and talk about some crime prevention tips about stolen autos, et cetera. So, Detective, it's all yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Major. Good evening, guys. I'm Detective Brandon Flex. I'm assigned to the Washington Area Vehicle Enforcement Team, the WAVE team. We handle all stolen vehicles in Prince George's County. And currently, my assignment within the WAVE team, I handle all of Division 1 and all of Division 6. So every stolen vehicle that gets reported to Division 1, which is the highest division, and Division 6 in Beltsville, they all come to me and I all investigate. So far, just touching in on last year's stats for stolen vehicles, we've had over 3,400 stolen vehicles in Prince George's County as of last year. This year to date, this is current as of today, February 14th, we have 466 stolen vehicles in Prince George's County. I'm sitting here looking at our daily sheet, and so we have them broken down by the hottest vehicles, which vehicles get stolen the most. So our number one stolen vehicle right now in Prince George's County is Hondas. So it'd be a Honda Civic, Honda Accord, any Honda make product right now is leading that. Secondly will be Toyota products, which will be second, and third is going to be Ford, with Chevrolet coming in fourth. The biggest thing with our stolen vehicles in Prince George's County, over a third of our vehicles, a third of the stolen vehicles that are stolen are jumping vehicles, meaning that the vehicles are running, they're unlocked, and the keys are with the vehicles inside of the vehicle. So just knowing that a third of these crimes can be prevented if you don't leave the vehicle running, if you don't leave your keys inside of the vehicle and the vehicle unsecured, that will drastically reduce the numbers right there itself. Just give me a couple seconds. Now, as far as carjackings, to date in Prince George's County, we've had 70 total confirmed carjackings in Prince George's County. Out of those 70 carjacking cases reported to the county police, we have recovered 37 vehicles, and there are still 33 vehicles that are still outstanding. So for prevention tips, I would say for carjacking, the biggest thing is be mindful of your surroundings in the area where you're at. If you do travel out late at night, just be mindful of where you travel. Make sure you travel in a well-lit area. And also wherever you park at, if you can park in a well-lit area. And also in your neighborhood or at your house, can you park, if you do have surveillance system, a Ring doorbell camera, or a surveillance camera on your house, park somewhere where your vehicle can be covered by surveillance. And if you happen to witness or observe a carjacking or a crime and not be a victim of, the biggest thing that you can do is to be helpful, be a great witness. And if you could just document or observe whatever you might see, the individuals who might be committing the crime, what type of vehicles did they arrive in, how many individuals, and which way or where did they flee to? And if you can describe the individual, whether they're a male or female, Black, white, Hispanic, or Asian, and you pretty much describe that person from head to toe. If they had a hat on, a jacket, a shirt, we'll call it a shirt if you can see it, their pants and their shoes up, be greatly appreciated for officers and be very helpful. And also, if you happen to capture any of these incidents on video at your house or at a business in College Park, that'll be greatly appreciated and helpful as well to the officers for, you know, investigative leads as well. I know Ms. Fletcher has some prevention tips that I provided her in English and Spanish for lock your car. For just to go over again, I know it sounds cliche, but again, please turn off your car and lock it, because again, these account for a third of the stolen vehicles in Prince George's County are vehicles that are running left unsecured. We do have this in English and Spanish. And then also another prevention tip: criminals, when they go around there looking into people's vehicles, they're looking for valuables. So please don't leave any laptops or any electronics inside of your vehicle. Even if you park your vehicle in front of your house at night, just make sure you take out any valuables that are inside of your vehicles and make sure that you definitely lock your car. With that, I want to know, are there any questions for me? Does anyone have any questions for me?
Hi, Detective, it's Bob Ryan. You know, we hear in the media that many of the suspects for carjacking are juveniles. Are they being taken off the streets, if you will, for lack of a more kind term? But how are juveniles treated as opposed to adults involved in carjackings?
That's a good question, and thank you for that. So we do see a lot of recidivists, meaning people that steal vehicles, continuously stealing vehicles. And to be particular with juveniles, yes, they are arrested. And with them being juveniles, if they are not committed to Cheltenham or to the state of Maryland, they are usually released back into the custody of their guardians. So this can be within a couple hours. And this is something we've seen a lot lately with a lot of juveniles that we will arrest for violent crimes, to include carjacking and driving around in stolen vehicles. They're usually released back to their guardians within a few hours of once they've been taken into custody. And then also with adults, we've seen a lot of repeat offenders with adults who committed auto thefts, and we've arrested, and they've committed numerous auto thefts and have a very long criminal history, and folks aren't held for long, and they're usually released. It does get frustrating at times because juveniles are released and they pretty much tend to go back out and do it again and again and again. And they're pretty much seems like there's no repercussion.
Has there been, I mean, again, there's been a lot of media attention recently across the National Capital Region, but has prosecution changed? Are the state's attorneys and Commonwealth attorneys treating carjackings more seriously than they were last year?
Well, they're definitely treating them seriously, and they're definitely prosecuting cases well, you know, with the evidence that they have, and to make sure that everything is followed and that the officers, you know, showing up to court and presenting all the evidence in court. So they were never not being taken seriously and being presented seriously. They definitely were, from last year and still to this year. It's just with the laws with juveniles, they're not as strict with juveniles as they are with adults. And this isn't something that the police department can change. These are laws that are on the books that have to get changed. So that's something that, you know, would have to be brought up to council members and see if laws would get changed. And then also with judges and commissioners on holding people in jail, because again, a lot of times, like I said, these juveniles do get released and they'll commit multiple crimes over the course of several days before something is done. And if we could stop it at the first time, then they won't go on a crime spree. You know, we could have someone steal a car and then go in and commit another violent crime, such as like a shooting or commit a homicide using the stolen car. And we'll see criminals cross jurisdictional boundaries. They'll steal vehicles in Prince George's County and go into Washington, D.C. or Montgomery County, or vice versa. Steal vehicles in Montgomery County or Washington, D.C. and come to Prince George's County and commit crime and flee back. We have very limited chase policy. Prince George's County Police does not chase for a stolen vehicle. So if an officer does get behind a stolen vehicle and tries to stop that vehicle and that individual refuses to stop, we cannot and will not chase that vehicle for safety reasons. And again, a lot of criminals know that and will flee from officers. Now, within my unit, we do conduct a lot of surveillance. We've identified several individuals that are committing carjackings and repeat stolen vehicle offenders. And we go out and we try to stop these problems. And we try to pretty much do surveillance in areas where they're known to frequent, just in case they may come back, or just in areas where they have frequented or areas where they have targeted to commit these crimes.
Detective, I have a question. Actually, two different residents, they contacted me about two separate incidents. They think they actually saw vehicles. One happened, I believe, 2 days ago, and another probably a month ago. And they think this is actually a stolen vehicle incident, and the trunk was open and things were stolen from it. I think the window was broken or something like that. Things were taken. So there's lots of signs indicating that the vehicles were stolen, and it was parked in a parking lot in a private property, and one of the incidents was in a church property. And they tried to call the police, 911, and probably non-emergency, but the police wouldn't take the call because, as a official report, because it wasn't reported as stolen by the vehicle owner. Now, in this case, how can the police help in this case of situation? Because it's a nuisance in the neighborhood, and people don't like it. And I think in the end, one of the vehicle was reported as stolen and it was impounded, as Major was telling. But I just actually saw one message from another residence. It happened 2 days ago on 48th Avenue in our district. And nothing was done. It was sitting there. So what the police can do.
I understand, and I appreciate your question. So it's something like that, like the Major referred to, they did impound a vehicle like that, but things like that, if the vehicle is on private property, you can have the vehicle towed. The property owner can have the vehicle towed if it is on private property. But if somebody wants the vehicle investigated, you can definitely have an officer come out, and a patrol officer will come out and look at the vehicle and should check to see if the vehicle is stolen. Now, if you feel like that doesn't happen, Ms. Fletcher does have my contact information, my email, and my cell phone number, which I will provide to you guys. You guys can reach out to me directly and let me know if you can. Send me an email, a text message to my cell phone, or let me know. And I'll definitely follow up with you and see if I can help as well, so we can stop these issues. And then also, if it is on private property, definitely want to get in touch with the property owner to see if we could address the issue and get the vehicle removed off of the property.
Yeah, thank you. Our officers actually did a good job. I think Major Clarity, you helped us. You reached out to the church property management, and you advised them about the vehicle sitting in their parking lot, and that really helped. So thank you. But in many cases, the resident, they tried to help police, but the call taker at the call center, they wouldn't take any report because it's not been reported as a stolen vehicle. It's a little bit of frustration.
Yes, definitely. I understand that, and apologize for your frustration. I would be frustrated as well. Now, I do want to touch back on something that the Major did discuss a few minutes ago when he was talking about 5,000 Laguna Road, where somebody reported that they were running a dealership out of the house and several vehicles were impounded and they were displaying Texas temporary tags. If you guys ever come across anything like that, that's something that we handle in my unit, that I investigate. That's outside the realm of patrol. Definitely please reach out to me, because things like this need to be investigated further, and they're probably issuing the stolen Texas temporary tags, and they're probably stolen vehicles on site. We've seen an uptick in stolen or fraudulent Texas temporary tags being used on stolen vehicles to cover their tracks. And then also another thing that I wanted to address are parking ride locations. I've identified one in Laurel off of Route 1 and right past it's like Route 1 and Merkirk Road. There's a parking ride northbound of Route 1 in Laurel where we'll go, and there are a lot of stolen vehicles that are coming from out of state, from New York, New Jersey. We even have some come from Missouri. They're usually typically rental vehicles, and you'll see the out of state license plates on the vehicles. But criminals are parking these vehicles. So I would say if you guys have any, or if you observe any vehicles that are sitting in any long-term parking lots or parking lots in the city of College Park with out of state license plates, and they're newer vehicles, please let me know, because these vehicles are pretty much being stored there until they're brought to the Port of Baltimore, where we've located several vehicles in shipping containers that are getting ready to get shipped out of the country. So this is a common and growing problem now in the county with vehicles being fraudulently rented from all over or just stolen, and they're being stored overnight in parking ride locations for either overnight or for several days until the vehicles can be loaded up. And if you also observe anyone loading a vehicle in a shipping container, please do call the police. Even if they are doing it legally, you can legally ship a vehicle out of the country, but it wouldn't hurt to have an officer come out. Or again, like I said, feel free to call me. Majority of the time, I do spend the majority of my time in Division 1 or in Beltsville, riding around and doing follow-up investigations. So I'm easily accessible. My schedule is Monday through Thursday. I work from 10 in the morning to 8 p.m. at night. So please feel free to give me a call. Again, Ms. Fletcher shared my cell phone number and my email address with you if you have any concerns about anything. But if you can, just keep your eyes open. If you see anything, please don't hesitate. You can call me directly.
Ms. Butler, I see you have your hand raised. Did you have a question for Detective Flax?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
First of all, I wanted to say that he was at the National Night Out that we had at Duval Field. I remember taking your picture, actually.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and if you guys
And I
have another one this
know.
year, I'll be there. Yep, I'll be there again this year if there's another one this year.
Actually, I have two questions. One is, what do you think the current trend of not locking your car up and not securing your vehicle, what do you think that trend, why do you think that trend is occurring now? And then the second question is that you said the car that is most popular to is it, are they carjacking the Hondas?
No, just a stolen vehicle. Stolen
Okay,
vehicles.
the stolen vehicles are the Hondas?
Yes, ma'am.
What's going on with the Hondas that making them so popular?
Hondas have always been a popular vehicle for resale. Anything from airbags being stolen to the wheels on the vehicle being stolen. Hondas have a very high resale value, and there's particular items from Hondas that people like, and a lot of factory equipment options that do come on Hondas that criminals do like, that aren't aftermarket products. So we did see last year an uptick in wheel thefts and airbag thefts in Prince George's County. We made several arrests in the wheel and rim thefts, and it just happened to be particular with Honda airbag thefts. There were more than anyone else, and there's pretty much no rhyme or reason why that the criminals choose Honda, but this is a national trend, not just one in Prince George's County. It's just Honda and Toyota products are more prevalent to being stolen. Now, again, with that, I'm glad you brought that up. If you guys do have, or if anyone does have any tracking software in your vehicle, Sirius XM, GMC, or Chevy, they provide OnStar. Please keep those active if you can, because those definitely help us recover vehicles in a timely manner. So Sirius Satellite, XM Radio, OnStar, Uconnect for any Dodge products. All those things help us recover vehicles in a timely manner. And then there's other things that, you know, we get into as far as surveillance and investigating, because if this is a trend or a group that are stealing vehicles, then we try to get to the core and get to the bottom of the problem, and arrest all of the individuals involved, not just the street level thieves. We want to get the people that are pushing out the orders. And this is what we're seeing with carjackings. We see a lot of the juveniles that are coming in stealing vehicles or carjacking vehicles, and they're getting orders from adults of vehicles that they want carjacked so they could then resell these vehicles. So we want to get to the bottom of that. And we have, once we've arrested several juveniles, they did give us information which led to further arrest of criminals that were higher above them that were enticing these juveniles to go out and commit these violent crimes or just to even steal any of these vehicles. And as far as you said, locking the cars, it's not a trend, but you should feel secure at your house, that if you don't want to lock your car, you shouldn't have to lock it. But, you know, criminals do take advantage of that, and they do steal people's vehicles. So definitely, please do lock your car, especially to the women, with your purses while you're at the gas stations. Even for a second, I've seen it. I have video of it, proof here in Prince George's County. You can be at the gas station getting gas and your car is not locked with your back turned. Somebody will come in and open up one of your doors and either steal your purse or steal your car while you're pumping gas with total disregard of you standing right there. I've seen it happen several times in Prince George's County. I've recovered video footage of it happening in the county. So anytime that you're not in your car, lock your car. Now, this doesn't mean if you have a self-starting option on your vehicle where you can remote start your vehicle, you can still, that's fine. But what I'm talking about is if you physically start your vehicle, whether it's a push to start or you put the key in ignition and you start the vehicle and the vehicle has the option to be driven away, then please do not do that. And we usually see that uptick in the winter months when people are warming their vehicles up. But if you could avoid that, definitely please do avoid that, because those are some of the issues that are coming back. And I know a lot of times when these things were happening, people were getting issued citations. And I know that some people might not agree with that, but awareness has to be made, because we can't have people still doing this, even though it becomes a huge problem. Like I said, it accounts for a third of our stolen vehicles here in Prince George's County.
Detective Flack.
Yes, sir.
Would maybe purchasing the club help with stopping some of the airbag thefts, or no?
It did help. And I know last year I did provide a bunch of clubs. I still haven't received any more clubs. As soon as I do, Ms. Fletcher and Mr. Ryan both are at the top of the list to get those clubs to distribute out to the citizens in College Park. But as of yet, I have not received any further order of clubs. But they will stop. They will slow it down. They might deter somebody from stealing your airbag if they were going to steal it. But yes, I do think that was a good initiative that we did start last year with issuing out the clubs for the airbag thefts.
Are there any tips or advice you could give someone to maybe deter my rims from being stolen off my vehicle?
So with that, I would say if you can, get vehicle locks, but again, that's not going to stop somebody from stealing your vehicles, because vehicle locks can be still broken and the rims can still be taken. If you can, it's best to park in a well-lit area. And if it's in a residential community, park somewhere where you know there are cameras at, because the people that are stealing rims and airbags, it's a small group of people that are committing all of these crimes. They're not several random people that are doing this. So they're using the same vehicles. So if we can identify the type of vehicles that they're using, or even capture somebody's license plate on the surveillance system, that'll help us. And that helped us last year. We made several arrests and conducted several search warrants into the rim and airbag thefts.
Yeah, didn't you have a ring of individuals that were stealing the rims off of Hellcats, and you made some arrests in a jurisdiction? You want to tell us about that one?
Yes, so last year we had an individual that was going around in the Langley Park area of Division 1 off the New Hampshire Avenue corridor. he was breaking into vehicles and they were stealing airbags and rims off of Dodge vehicles. And because of how close the Leonard Park area is to Montgomery County, they didn't know that they ever left Prince George's County. So he was crossing lines going into Montgomery County. And as he was committing these crimes, we were watching him commit all of these crimes in the late evening hours, early morning hours. We notified Montgomery County Police while we were still out there doing surveillance. And then once he went back to his vehicle to unload all of his stolen products, we arrested the individual with all the stolen items in his possession. And he did just plead guilty in Montgomery County Circuit Court. It was last month he pled guilty. His trial is coming up. I believe it's next month here in March in Prince George County, but he did plead guilty in Montgomery County Court just earlier this month.
I had a question. Catalytic converters come up every once in a while as a hot item. Have we been seeing that in Prince George's also? The stealing of the catalytic converters?
We did, I would say maybe about a month ago, we saw an uptick in catalytic converters and we identified 4 individuals and they were subsequently arrested. We conducted several search warrants and arrested all the individuals involved. They were staying at several different hotels in Prince George's County and in Charles County. And once we identified people, once they were stealing catalytic converters, we began conducting surveillance on the individuals and did some follow-up investigation to see where they were selling the catalytic converters and learned that they made over $25,000 in the stolen catalytic converters. And they were all 4 charged with that. And the lead detective was assigned to Division 4 down in the Oxon Hill station with that investigation, but they went all over Prince George's County and then outside of Prince George's County, still catalytic converters. But that's something that happens. It'll uptick for a while and then it'll just completely go away. So I'm not really sure why, why it does or why it doesn't. It's just somebody might go on a crime spree stealing catalytic converters, and when they do, they steal a lot. There's really no rhyme or reason as to why they do it or the time frames of why they do it throughout the year. But we do usually see an uptick when they do start to commit the catalytic converter thefts.
Hi, I work at a church right across from Terrapin Row, and the church parking lot is open to students who park at night. Unfortunately, the parking lot has also turned into a car parts mall. We've been hit frequently with airbag theft, catalytic converter just on Saturday night, and in one case, a car was jacked up, all 4 tires were stolen. We know that we need to increase lighting. We know that we need security cameras. The club is great information. Anything else I can offer to students to protect their cars?
I would say I would say getting wheel locks on their vehicles. And you said the most recent was a catalytic converter theft just a couple days ago. Okay, and you said it's a parking lot across from Terrapin Row?
Yes,
Okay,
it's a Hope Lutheran Church.
Do you know the address of the church, ma'am?
Yep, 4201 Guilford Drive. And I know Sergeant Joseph was the responding officer and really helped the student quite a bit.
All right. Tomorrow when I come back into work, I'll make sure I go up there and I'll check out the parking lot myself and see what any assessments I see of the parking lot, of any additional security items can be done or what we can do to prevent these and slow these problems down. So it's 4201 Guilford Road in the church parking lot.
Guilford Drive, right next to the Catholic Center. We're on the Cornell and Knox meet at that crazy intersection.
Not a problem. I'll make sure I go up there tomorrow and I'll check that out myself. And I'll follow up with Corporal Lobin and I'll talk with him and see if we could coordinate any efforts to improve this to make sure that these slow down and they stop.
Excellent, thank you.
Hey, Detective, I forwarded that to our community policing office today. So make sure you coordinate with our community policing unit before going up there, because they have an assignment from me to go up there and do a security survey on that lot. So you guys can work together.
Not a problem. I'll definitely. Is it Sergeant Chabla or is it Sergeant Robinson that's going to be on that?
Baker sector, Chablo.
Okay, so I'll reach out to Sergeant Chabla in the morning, and I'll coordinate with him and to see what assistance he needs from us. And even, doing surveillance, they need to go up there and do surveillance to identify the individuals and make arrests. I'll coordinate that with Sergeant Chabla so we could work together and stop these problems. Anybody else have any other questions?
I have a question. It is not necessarily related to car theft, but probably obsolescence or major clarity. Both of you can answer. And someone asked me, the PGPD has a channel on Nextdoor, right? In the Nextdoor social media app. So you post crime map. Also, when you do that, I think today you did last week's crime map, a crime report. He was asking if a resident posts something about a crime incident or something. Ideally, he should be calling 911 or the non-emergency number, and that's what I suggested him. But he was asking, is there any way he can post to Nextdoor to you, and can you see it or can you respond to it? I think he told us before he cannot see our posts, the residents' post. Am I correct?
Yes, that is correct, Dr. Fazul. It's a closed portal. The only thing we can see is what we post. We cannot view your thoughts and your comments. So I know sometimes people are posting events. It's not like Facebook. When you post, it's a public for everyone that's your friends to see it. Even if we're friends with you on Nextdoor, we still cannot see it because it's a closed portal. So only thing people can see is people that are inside your network, but we're not able to see anything other than what we post. So we are not able to see any comments or any concerns that the public have. Only thing they can do is send us a direct message. And I know sometimes you and Mayor, Wozon is really good about copying it and forwarding it to us, but we cannot directly see whatever messaging that's being posted inside of the Nextdoor portal.
Yeah, thank you for confirming it. Yeah, I told him, but I think they should be calling. We all should be calling 911 first before going to Nextdoor or opening any app. So oftentimes we don't do that, unfortunately. Thank you.
So
I do have
let
one.
me just say this real quickly. I encourage everyone to contact 911 for emergency situation, for suspicious activity, or call our non-emergency number. I can't stress this enough. Going through Bob with 6 emails doesn't help out. If you see something suspicious, I want you to call. All right. There's valuable information when somebody calls 911 that the call center can take. So it's very important not to send people emails about a crime or a suspicious activity, is to call 911 or the non-emergency number. That's very important. I want everybody to pass that out to all their friends. Please do it. It helps out a lot. And then that way we have a permanent record of the complaint. I think it's very important to say that. We'll have a permanent record of that complaint. Getting a complaint second or third or fourth hand by email is not good in today's world. We got to have a permanent record. Our call takers are trained on what questions to ask. They have to type that information into the computer system. So I'm encouraging everyone, please call us, 911 or the non-emergency line.
And
I-
we can't
I-
we can't repeat that enough. Going on Nextdoor, sending an email to your council member, all those things should not happen until after a resident has called 911 and given direct witness information to the call takers so that they can share that with responding police. I mean, 911 is staffed 24/7, 365 a year. And so none of those other media are staffed. So It only delays police response if you're posting stuff on Nextdoor or emailing your council member or leaving me a voicemail. It just delays police response. That's all I can say. Certainly you can alert your neighbors after you've called 911 if you want to share the information. That's fine. But if you want the quickest and most effective response from police, you have to call. If 911 is not called, no one knows about it until way after the fact when the suspects are gone from the area and there's no chance of making an arrest or finding out who's doing that. So please, we beg people all the time to make that call.
And I just want to say one more thing, council member Fazul. Anybody can request a police officer to come out and check a vehicle. Okay, even if it's on private property, the officer will come out, run the tag, but most importantly, he should be running the VIN number to the vehicle to see if it's stolen. A lot of times, we'll use, for example, the church lot that you sent an email about. I ran that tag in the computer system, and it came back on the same model of that vehicle that was sitting in the lot, but that tag was not reported stolen. By VIN number, that vehicle is reported stolen. So if you have a problem with anybody that says, I called the police and they did not come out, provide me with that information and I will check our records to see, number one is, was the call dispatched? Did an officer actually go out to the scene? Or did our communications center fail for whatever reason to dispatch an officer to that location? All right. A lot of times it's how the citizen relays that information to the complaint center. But most importantly, we will come out and check every vehicle that is considered to be suspicious. If the vehicle is not reported stolen and it's on private property, we will not impound that vehicle. All right. If it is reported stolen by the VIN number or the tag, we will take that vehicle with us. So I just want to make sure that's clear. You can be a check and balance for me. If for some reason the officers are not responding to a location, if they are dispatched, or if for some reason our communication center is not dispatching an officer, I need to be aware of that. And what I do is I research that information. I can either go direct with the communication supervisor, or if I have to, I'll go direct with one of our members that work out of Division I to see why they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So I'm not saying that we're doing anything wrong, but if there's a question about a call for service, you have my phone number, you have my email address, send it to me and I'll look into it. And if we're doing something wrong, we're going to correct that problem. If somebody else is doing something wrong, we'll make sure they're aware of it and we'll correct the problem too. So, we always have incidents. We're transparent. I just want to make sure that if there's a problem, we look into it. And I'll let you know there was no problem with the call. And if there was a problem, I'll let you know too. So I do appreciate what you said. So if moving forward, if that pops up again, please let me know.
Okay, I have a one comment and then, well, maybe it might be two comments. The first one is some people are hesitant to call 911 because they don't think it's an emergency. Especially they wake up in the morning and find out that somebody's rummaged through their car. I know that the procedure is they should still report it. They can call that non-emergency number. I'm assuming that that also puts a record of the issue into the log or whatever you're doing, so that people should not be hesitant to call. And if they call the non-emergency number when something's happening and it is a true emergency, the people answering the non-emergency phone call are in the same room, same area as the people with the 911, so they can figure out, oh, this should be handled as a 911 call. Now, my other question is, you often hear from, or comment, you often hear from people, oh, I called them. I never heard any, after they came out, I had my car rummaged through. They came out, they took a report. I never heard anything after that. So why should I even bother calling the police? Because they're not doing anything. That's the impression that the citizen or the resident is getting. I realize there's reasons why you can't come back and give a lot of information because you're still investigating it or whatever. Maybe you could go over and say, what's the procedure on this? When I call somebody, say my car's been rummaged through, the police come out, they check it out, they give me, a case number, and then I never hear anything more from them. I don't know whether I should be hearing anything more from them, and maybe the policeman should be more sensitive and say, okay, you're not going to necessarily hear anything from me, but if you have any questions, this is what you're supposed to do. I don't know, but I keep hearing this. Some of the people have had this happen 3, 5, 10 years ago, and it's turned them off from reporting things to the police. They don't think the police are doing their job. I guess maybe what I'm asking is, can you explain a little bit about what the procedure is after something, one of these rummaging through the car type of incidents has happened? Yeah, I don't know who can handle that, but jump in.
I understand your complaint, ma'am. And so with that being said, I would say the follow-up should be done by either an investigator if somebody's vehicle is broken into and there's some items taken out of the vehicle. An investigator can call the complainant and let them know at least where the case is standing and where they're at with the case, if there's anything they have to go off of, if they've recovered any video, or if they do have any leads. Now, what you're saying is people's vehicles getting rummaged through. I would say if you can, make sure that you do lock your vehicle if it's not vandalized and broken in. And that was another good point that I was going to bring up is if one of these things do happen to you, your vehicle's stolen, your airbag is stolen, your wheels are stolen, to follow up throughout the course of this investigation with the investigator, especially if an arrest is made, because this is where change is going to come at, to see if this is a repeat offender who's been previously arrested for this problem, and then to see how the case was handled in court. Again, the police department only handles the arrest, and all the prosecution and litigation gets handled by the state's attorney's office. I'm not placing any blame on anyone, but it's your right to know how your case is handled, especially if an arrest is made. And if you're not satisfied with it, you definitely do have an input, and you can voice your concerns with the state's attorney's office if you feel like things weren't handled the way you want them to be handled. I was just sitting here looking at some numbers and just doing some math to touch back on what I spoke about earlier. We're currently on, today's February 14th, so we're currently on the 45th day of the year. And just looking back at the numbers of the 466 stolen vehicles, that comes out to an average of 10.3 vehicles stolen a day in Prince George's County. And those are alarming numbers. And that's all over Prince George's County. That's divisions 1 through 8, where we could have a spike anywhere in the county, and of that, that's a total value of over $7 million of vehicles that have been stolen. And we're not even through the first quarter yet of the year. So these numbers definitely do need to come down. And out of that, 134 of the vehicles that were stolen had the keys inside of the vehicle, which account for almost 29%. Again, a third of the vehicles that are stolen. I know, again, it's repetitive and cliche, but little things like that, with people leaving their keys in the vehicle and the vehicles unlocked, to deter these criminals from coming around and going through your vehicle at night if they see any items of value in there, will greatly reduce these numbers. So just to be mindful if you can, and talk with your neighbors, please lock your cars and take out any valuables and don't leave any vehicles running.
So I'll make a clarification with a couple of things. First, Carol, any victim of a crime can call the investigator section and ask for a status of their report or of that incident. Now, what I'm going to tell everybody this, some people may be upset. We do not investigate every crime that is committed in our division unless we have a lead or evidence to go on. I have 14 investigators at the Hyattsville division to cover every crime that is committed. So what I'm telling everyone is we do not investigate every crime. And what I mean by that is an investigator is not assigned every crime that is committed in our division. We have to look on the seriousness of the nature of the crime and if we have any leads to go on. And I think if anyone is a victim of the crime and they want to know what the status of that crime, of that report is, they're more than willing to call us. But with crimes that are misdemeanors and we don't have any leads to go on, no investigator is assigned to that crime. So I want to make that clear. I have 14 investigators. They must investigate shootings where somebody is shot. They must investigate citizens that are robbed at gunpoint. They have to investigate burglaries. They have to investigate stabbings. So if anybody that knows me knows I speak the truth, you may not like it. I don't put smoking mirrors up and tell her everything's great. Crimes that don't have any leads or evidence will not be investigated. And what I mean by that is they won't be assigned to an investigator unless we come up with some leads, suspect information, and then what we'll do is we'll reopen up the case and then we will investigate it. So I just want to make sure that's clear with everyone. Does anybody have any other questions?
And Todd, you have a question, looks like. Go ahead.
I have a question that's not related to auto thefts. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. So at a previous meeting, I raised concerns about traffic, pedestrian, and cyclist safety at the intersection of Edgewood Road and Rhode Island Avenue. A lot of red light running going on there that I had observed. I think it was at the November meeting I raised that. And I think it was noted at that meeting that, and I know that the police cannot be everywhere, obviously. They might be able to, watch that intersection during periods of time, but I know they cannot be everywhere. It was noted there is county installed red light cameras there that were deactivated because of concerns about accuracy. And I remember that on that call, the county official vouched for the accuracy of those cameras. And so I know the city was gonna look into whether they could request that the county reactivate those cameras. So I'm curious what the status is of that, whether the city is gonna, see about getting the county to reactivate those cameras so that, red light infractions can be caught and we can be safer in our community.
So to my knowledge, no request has been made to the county unless a council member has made it, but city staff have not made that request. In fact, the county deactivated those, not because they were inaccurate rather, but because they were installed without the city's knowledge and cooperation. The ones at Edgewood and Rhode Island. So
the comment at the November meeting was the city requested it because some residents were concerned they were inaccurate, but that's just what I heard at the November meeting. So.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that was the case. I believe the case was they were installed and without any kind of coordination with the city. And in the near future, the city will be assuming ownership and responsibility for Rhode Island Avenue in that area. So at that time, that might be the time to revisit red light cameras.
When will the city assume ownership?
We're in the process of acquiring it. I've been told the resurfacing of Rhode Island Avenue by the county will start in a few months, probably in the spring timeframe. So the communication has already started with the county in the taking over the ownership. So at that time we can make a lot of changes, things like probably bringing down the speed limit is one option. Some residents have been asking. Right now it's 35. If it's a county road, we cannot bring down the speed limit much. But it's a city street, we can go as low as 25. I don't know if that is ideal or not. So, you know, there are many other options in addition to what you're suggesting.
When the city owns Rhode Island Avenue, what will be the status of the cameras? Who will own those?
So as Bob mentioned, it was, I believe it's been more than 10 years now. The county put it in without even asking us. But you are also right, there's a lot of reaction from the community as well. I think that was more visible at that time from the community discussion. But county actually did not contact us before putting those cameras. So Bob is correct as well. Yeah, I don't know when that discussion will happen. So most likely once we take over, probably that discussion can happen. The different options of the pedestrian safety. Remember, the street is also, the travel lane also will go down by 2 feet, I think, both sides. So that will, the narrow travel lane will make the safety, the pedestrian safety. It will improve the pedestrian safety and also the biker safety as well. And there will be a buffered bike lane as well, right? So a lot of things will happen to ensure the safety of who actually bikes and walks on Rhode Island Avenue.
Well, it's not clear to me that a reduced speed limit will necessarily mean less red light running. You know, so and it also occurs to me that no matter who owns the road, the police, the county police, are still responsible for enforcing the law. I know that any red light infraction that's recorded on those cameras gets reviewed by a live county police officer to decide whether there really was a violation or not. And so it's going to fall on the county police no matter what, no matter who owns the road or what the speed limits are. So
yeah.
It just occurs to me, I know the comment was made, and I think Mayor Willian was on that November call. The comment was made, the city was going to look into it, and it occurs to me the city could have the county, activate those cameras at any point. We don't need to wait until we own the road. So I'm just worried, we're investing a lot in the Hollywood Commercial District. We have the Hollywood Streetscape project that is hopefully gonna, draw more people to the Hollywood Commercial District and make it more vibrant. But all it takes is 1 or 2 accidents for people there to kind of put a chill on, pedestrians using that area or cyclists using it. I want to feel safe. I want everybody to feel safe there. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so red light running through that intersection is really scary. I've seen it.
Todd, you mentioned that the cameras are still there. They had installed cameras on Edgewood. They removed the cameras that were on Edgewood. So not all the cameras that the county installed way back when they thought that was what everybody wanted. Not all of those cameras are still there. And I mean, I've seen the one on, on Edgewood Road. It was put in, it was taken out. And I'm just saying, we're not just concerned about Rhode Island. You also have to be concerned about Edgewood Road coming through. And I agree with you. The streetscape is going to bring more people to that area, more pedestrians, more bike people, in addition to vehicles. I'm not sure I fully agree with you that reducing the speed limit on Rhode Island Avenue won't have an effect. I think it will have some effect, because then if the person is speeding, they can, going over that 25-mile or whatever the buffer is on that, they can get ticketed. Now it has to be 35 miles as opposed to 25. That's just
So-
my feelings about that.
If I can add, so there are no red light cameras, either active or inactive, at that intersection anymore. There are security cameras at that intersection in all 4 directions. And so when an incident occurs in that area, these are cameras that store the video on site. And so we can access that for police investigators. It's not available to the public, but if there's any sort of incident in view of those cameras, we can provide video to the police investigators. We currently had a speed camera on Rhode Island Avenue that was in the school zone as the law allowed. And as of last October, the state law now allows us to have a camera along Rhode Island Avenue 24/7. The school zone camera was limited to daytime, but the new law allows us to have speed cameras in residential areas 24/7. And so we're going to be installing a different camera on Rhode Island that can accommodate that. And we hope to have speed camera in both directions. So we're working on a proposal from our contractor to do that, and then we'll bring it to the mayor and council for approval.
So just to be clear, the speed cameras you would have installed on Rhode Island Avenue would not catch red light running at the intersection.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
That's correct. It would not.
And I mean, just to provide additional information, when you're talking about the speed camera on Rhode Island Avenue, it really doesn't catch anybody, because you have to go 12 miles over the speed limit before the camera activates. So if you look at the number of violations by that camera, it's very, very low. Now, maybe that's because people know where it's at. Maybe that's a possibility. But there's other cameras in the city that catch a lot of violators. The one of Rhode Island Avenue, when you're talking about speed alone, it doesn't really catch that many violators.
And as was mentioned, even with speed camera citations, they have to be verified by a police officer, and our contract police officers do that for the city's speed cameras. So they're all reviewed by a sworn officer before they're validated and mailed to the speeder.
Are the contract officers involved in evaluating red light violations?
No, because we don't have any red light cameras in the city.
Hey, Todd, while you're on the line, I'm just very curious. When during the day, what periods of the day do you see somebody running that red light? Is it morning rush hour, afternoon rush hour, during the daytime, late at night? When do you see that? And what direction are they going in? Are they on Rhode Island Avenue, or are they on Edgewood?
Yeah, it's on Rhode Island Avenue. That's where the traffic travels fastest. You know, generally, traffic is faster on Rhode Island Avenue than on Edgewood. Again, it's just my perception. There's a lot of through traffic on Rhode Island Avenue. You know, people trying to get through, they may not want to travel Route 1, so they cut through Rhode Island Avenue, right? And so Edgewood's more of a community street, in and out of the community. I'm probably, if I walk or bike through there, it's probably more in the afternoon or early evening. Probably not
Between what,
out there. Pardon me?
between what hours?
Really, I could be walking up to the 7-Eleven or another store up there anytime from lunch onward. I don't see any pattern, and I know you guys like to know patterns, and I've reported patterns of speeding on my street, Narragansett Parkway, before, but I don't really see any pattern. If I had to pinpoint one, I would say evening rush hour. I get the feeling, a lot of people rushing through trying to get home.
So, I mean, that's a good point. I appreciate you letting me know what time. I'll have somebody down there just to see if we can try to catch somebody. But I also want to make sure everybody understands about running a red light. Once your vehicle enters the intersection and that light turns red, you're not running the red light. So as long as it is in that intersection and that light turns red, you have the lawful right to go through. So usually you'll see a white line a lot of times for the intersections. That's the beginning of the intersection. So as soon as your car gets into that intersection, I know a lot of times people say, oh, that car ran a red light. Well, technically he did not, because he was in the intersection while the light was yellow and then the light turned red. So I want to put that out because I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. But Todd, I will definitely take a look at it during like the evening rush hour. A lot of times, I'll be honest with you, it sounds easy to catch somebody running a red light, but it's very difficult when there's a lot of traffic. The officer's got to try to catch up to the violator, and we don't want to cause an accident trying to catch up to somebody who just ran a red light. When there's a lot of traffic, believe me, it's frustrating on my part. When I was a patrolman trying to catch somebody, when there's so much traffic, you can't get around people, and then you lose sight of the violator. But I do appreciate it during the evening hours. We'll take a look at it and see what we can do. I appreciate that information.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I have specifically observed as a pedestrian, the light turn. I know the light turned red because I'm wanting to cross Rhode Island. My light on Edgewood's green, and then the car goes straight through on Rhode Island. It wasn't in the intersection in time. So I know it's a fine line that has to be discerned. I also know that the cameras, my perception is cameras are very effective. If they are there, the red light cameras work. And maybe it's easier for the red light camera to discern it, in heavy traffic than officers. But I appreciate it. If any attention could be paid, it frustrates me because I know we have this great technology and we're not using it to keep us safe. But whatever you guys can do would be great.
So are there any other questions for any of us, Major Coletti, Corporal Loban, Detective Flack? And if you think of a question after these meetings, please feel free to send an email. And whoever you send it to, will get it to the right person who has the answer to your questions.
So Bob, if I could just state real quickly, I know I stated before, but please pass out this information to your friends, your family. If you see somebody that's suspicious, please call us. A lot of times these crimes we can stop before they happen. A lot of times a crime will be committed and we'll get the jump on it and we can catch the suspects. Everybody knows what's right, what feels right in their neighborhood. If it doesn't feel right to you, then consider it to be suspicious and please call us. It's a good way for us to get valuable information. We may not catch somebody that day, but the information you have may close out a crime in a couple of days to an investigator when they see that information. So please, by all means, call. And ending, I got to say this. Please lock your doors. Lock your doors to your car. Lock your doors to your shed. Lock your doors to your house or to your residence. I can't tell you how many reports I read every month of cars, houses, apartments being left unlocked, windows being left unlocked. You're making it so easy for these criminals to steal your stuff. And please pass it along to your family members, friends. Lock everything, house, car, and shed. And one of the things about carjackings, I think the detective can probably agree to this. If you don't need to go to an ATM machine during the nighttime, go during the daytime. If you need to get gas, don't go at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, unless you absolutely have to. These are tips. Go during the daytime. Go when it's crowded. Don't go at 8, 10 o'clock at night. I'll just run this by everybody. I was out with some of our special assignment team members, and they were looking at ATM machines because we were having a problem with a couple of robberies at different sites. One over at Naples Road, the other one on Kenworth Avenue. At 11 o'clock at night, there was a line to use the ATM machine. I mean, I was personally shocked by it. So we should all feel comfortable 24 hours a day. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So tell your family members, tell your friends or your relatives, go get gas during the daytime. Use the ATM machines during the daytime. Just a friendly tip, but lock everything up, please. It will help out. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. And I had another thought while Major was talking, because I've seen some results of all of our police efforts, our contract officers, the beat patrol officers, and the county aviation unit, which is based right here in College Park at our airport. And I've seen where someone has reported suspicious people walking down the street, and the police responded not to that immediate address, but set up a perimeter. And the aviation unit was able to spot these people walking down the street, trying car doors. And eventually they found an open door and got in, but they were able to call the ground police who had set up a perimeter, and they just converged on that location and made an arrest. So even if you call 911 and you don't see a police cruiser pull up, doesn't mean they're not in the area, doesn't mean they haven't put out a lookout for the description that you have given, and are saturating the area, or even, as I say, even the aviation unit could be overhead and you won't hear them. I'm amazed at how quiet the county police helicopters are and what they can see from the air. Saw a recent demonstration where they were looking for someone who had used a handgun, and they were able to pick up the heat signature from the handgun that had been thrown into the woods. And so, again, that old axiom, if you see something, say something. But again, please, I mean, we're pleading with our residents to call 911 when they see something. So if there's nothing else, or if you come up with a question later, as I say, send us an email. And if you have any ideas for information you'd like to get at these monthly meetings, please let us know. We can arrange for special presentations, and we want them to be meaningful. We want to triple the attendance at least. So please suggest some good special topics that will attract your friends and neighbors to join us second Monday of every month. So that's all I have. If no one else has anything, let's call it a night. We're almost 9:15, so we'll let everybody settle down for the night, and we'll talk to you next month. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.